really shared some fantastic insights with everybody, and I really appreciated getting to hear it.
What he said was truly from his core, and it just oozed off of the stage.
He really understands sales more from this authentic standpoint, but he's very sequenced and detail-oriented when it comes to his approach to sales.
It's something I've never heard about sales, and it's a brand new framework, which is really awesome.
Really appreciated the way he shared about just the consistency of accountability and how that really drives results.
Luke really commands himself in a great way where he is genuine, authentic, he's trustworthy, which makes him great at sales.
If you are a sales professional, you definitely want to connect with Luke.
How we doing? All right, who knows what the top line of a profit and loss statement is? Starts with S. Sales. There we go. It's that magic word, right? Guys, first of all, I want to speak to something that I heard Danny say when he was up here. And that is, you guys were clapping, you were riled up, you were moving, and then he stopped talking, and then he stopped clapping, okay? That right there is the problem with a lot of businesses. That's the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs. That's the problem with a lot of salespeople. Without direct instruction and delegation, they don't move. They don't move on their own. They wait for instruction. They wait for some sort of stimulus or catalyst. They wait for the market to move, and then they move. That is a problem if you want to innovate and if you want to reach supreme success, okay? There's a lot of people here from all parts of the world, and they may want to know who I am. So Danny gave you some insight. I didn't have the best past, didn't have the best upbringing, okay? I grew up in a home where my father told me that middle management was where you wanted to be. White picket fence is a victory. Labrador's a good thing, although I got nothing against dogs. I got 2 of them, but that was it. I had a mother who grew up in a farm town who had an abusive father. And this isn't a woe is me session. This is just to help you understand where I came from. A lot of you guys out there I know didn't have the best circumstances either. Some of you did. But my story is one of major mistakes, serious problems, doing really bad things. So just to give you a brief synopsis, I grew up in a town called Cato, New York. There was about 87 kids in my graduating class. And we played both sides of the football. They call it Iron Man. It's when you only have about 80 people and only about 11 of them play football. For those who know anything about football, you know that that doesn't make for people playing both sides of the ball, okay? So I was the star quarterback. I had a good run, but because I played defense, I injured my shoulder. That lost me my scholarship. Back it up a step, that scholarship was what was going to get me out of Cato, New York, okay? Nobody in Cato went to college unless they were the valedictorian or the salutatorian. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college. So imagine you're this young guy, you got this dad who tells you, don't bother with school, don't bother with trade school, don't bother with trying to change lives, don't bother with trying to be an astronaut, a fireman, the president, any of those things. Just get a job in middle management, get a company car, get a 401k, and stay away from leadership. The boss, the owner, if the shit hits the fan, it hits him. Stay away from the shit. So it was a message of scarcity. It was a message of fear. It was a message of do what I did. Unfortunately for me, it wasn't me. I had a fire that burned inside of me. And I was the guy that wanted to do big things. I saw Lamborghinis. I saw police officers. I saw astronauts. I saw the president. I'm like, well, who are these people? Why do they get to do that? Why can't we do that? And it was explained to me that that's just not what you do. I can't tell you how many times I heard from my father, that's just not what you do. Or, Dad, why do we do that? That's just what you do. So that's how I was raised. It's just what you do. What I later learned is that I was in a lineage or a dynasty of addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics, people who use substances to numb their pain, okay? Some of us use the gym. I converted to that avenue. Maybe that's evident. Some people, thank you for the chuckle. Some of us use chemicals. Some of us use people. We lean on people. But we all need release or some way to kind of numb that fear, that pain of life. Everybody in this room's got something that they deal with, okay? I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. And I could finish that with like a nice Backstreet Boys lyric. But the bottom line is, guys, it's okay. It's okay to have imperfections. It's okay to have fear. It's okay to not know where you're going or how you're going to get there. But what's important is that you have that desire, that you have something that drives you, okay? I had something that drove me. The problem was, and part of the reason you guys are so lucky to be in this room and to be led by a guy like Ryan Stewman, is you have somebody to help show you that direction, to show you which way to travel. A mentor, a leader, a network, okay? Danny said something about when you guys are here today. He said, when you're here today, don't do the, oh, hey, can I get your socials? Let's get a selfie, let's post it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that's a very real thing. We live in a very, very fake marketplace, guys. There is a business cycle that I'm going to be referring to here shortly, and it's going to spell this out in very, very succinct fashion. But be real with the people in this room. Ask them questions. Where are you located? What business are you in? Where are you at in this business? How are you doing? What have your failures been? What have you discovered? And guys, when somebody asks you those questions, answer them. I'm up here on stage. I'm going to unearth for you all the nuances of my failures, all the things that I did wrong, all the mistakes that I made, in hopes that it's going to inspire one person in this room, at least one. When I speak, and just so you guys know, I'm brand new at this, okay? Why am I here? Because one day I said, you know what? Ryan Stewman's a bad motherfucker, man. I've been watching that guy for a long time. And it was a customer of mine at one of my car dealerships that mentioned him to me. And I didn't even know that until when it was advertised that I was speaking at Apex Live. She reached out to me via Facebook message and said, hey, Luke, I don't know if you remember me, but my name's Karen Payne. I bought XYZ vehicle from you at XYZ time. And at that time, I don't know if you remember, but I told you about a person, a motivator, a sales guy that I followed that you reminded me a lot of. And his name was Ryan Stewman. And now I just saw a poster on social media that you're going to speak at Apex Live, and I just think it's so cool that somehow the universe found a way to align you guys, and you're speaking on his stage. Like, think of the power of that, okay? So then I started to trace back my steps. I was like, why did I follow Ryan Stewman? Like, was it an ad? Did the algorithm show him to me? Why was it? And I realized that just shy of a decade ago, it was Karen Payne. And she brought him up to me. So I started following him, and he was running some commercial about a book, I think, and he was all wild and loud and obnoxious and yelling. I was like, man, who's this guy? And then I started to listen to his message. And his message was one of authenticity, like ruthless authenticity. And I was like, that's a guy I can mess with. So I started following him, and he lived in the algorithm of my social media for many years. And then one day, when I decided to get into sales training, and there's a whole story to that, but we don't have 6 hours today, I decided, you know what? I want to reach out to Ryan Stewman. So I did what a lot of people don't do. I just grabbed a hold of my courage, and I sent him a DM. And that DM was not met very well from Ryan Stewman, I'll tell you that. I said, hey, Ryan, my name's Luke Lunkenheimer. I'm getting into sales training. I think that you and I have a lot in common. You know, I have kind of a tattered past. You kind of have a tattered past. And, you know, in retrospect, it was a very canned statement that I made, but it was genuine. And I just said, dude, I'd like to hop on a Zoom call with you. I think if we were to talk, you'd be interested in what I have to say. And I was all hopeful. And I was all giddy. And then I got this message, and I'll paraphrase. Luke, I get 100 motherfucking texts like this every single day. Whatever you're trying to sell me, I'm not interested. Send me an email to this email right here. If there's anything of value in it, I'll reach back out to you. Have a nice day. By the way, my past doesn't define me. It's not who I am. I choose to leave it in the past. And I was like, well, shit. But then I thought about it. And I said, Luke, you tell your trainees that you're the best salesperson in the world. You tell people that any deal that's closable can be closed. And I sure as fuck know that this deal can be closed. Pardon my French, guys, but you're getting me raw and authentic today. This is just who I am. And I said, you know what? Fuck that, Ryan Stewman. We're getting on a Zoom call. So I sent back the message, and I don't have my phone up here, but I'll paraphrase. Ryan, I understand you're a busy guy. And I know that the implication that you don't have time to me or time to speak with me was in that message. But what you did, sir, and he did do this, was you carefully delineated exactly what you've come across, what you've been through, how many people have tried to take your time, why you can't give me the time, and then you gave me your email address to give me some sort of conduit to you. And by doing so, sir, you showed me that you are ruthlessly authentic, you are kind, you do care, you didn't want me to think that you didn't care about what I had to say, but you understood that this was probably just a pitch and that you didn't have time for it. So by telling me to fuck off, you actually told me how badly we need to speak. I have nothing to sell you. Nothing at all. So if this is the last time we speak, which it won't be, you will see me, I will cross your path. I promise you. And at that day, hopefully I'll be able to provide you some value. If you were to take me up on the offer to speak with me, it will bring me more value right now than it does you. We're both sure of that. But moving forward, I think I will be able to reciprocate and bring additional value to you in the future. And the response was Ryan's Calendly link and a message that said, motherfucker, if you try to sell me anything, I'm going to be so pissed. So that's why I'm here today, okay? What am I going to cover? Sales. It's what I do. It's what I love. I own 3 car dealerships. A guy that I robbed was kind enough to hire me back once he saw me getting back on my feet. He was a success story behind second chances, and he believed that I should be given a second chance, so he hired me. And I went back on his sales floor, and I started doing what I do, which is outperforming everybody. And that's not braggadocious, that's not arrogant, those are just facts. And he came to me one day and he said, Luke, you are far too talented to be selling shit for me. I know that you're eventually going to, go on to be successful and be an entrepreneur. He goes, and I'm a businessman. So as opposed to watching you leave here and go make money for someone else or some other business partner or some bank that you take a loan from, he said, I want to offer you a $150,000 investment to partner in opening a used car dealership. This was a guy that I had robbed a year and a half before. This opportunity came out of nowhere. So guys, I attribute that to a ruthless work ethic. Success breeds success. I was in this man's ecosystem and I just worked my ass off. I just pushed. I just moved the needle. I just produced. And he saw attributes that he thought would be good in business, so he took a shot. Now, honestly, 150 grand to this guy who's worth 60, 70 million dollars, not a big deal, but it was everything to me. That was the start of CNY Drives. CNY Drives is now CNY Drives, CNY Drives North, and Fort Drum Drives. It was valued post-corona, and the valuation's probably gone down since then because it's, the market was on fire at that time. But at this juncture, it's probably an $8 to $9 million company still. It was valued at 12 and a half at that time. And that's a guy that was in a graduating class of 87 people, and the most money he was ever able to save was like $8,000 or $9,000. So that was a major victory for me. From that point, I started to realize that I may have something. And what I did from that point was realize that I was a terrible car dealer, quite frankly. I was okay at buying cars, okay? But turning the inventory, all the other business stuff, all the bean counter stuff, all the stuff that requires you to not have ADD ruthlessly were not my strong points. But what I realized is that every vendor, every peer in the industry, everyone that I hired who had sold at other dealerships came into my stores and said, dude, where did you find that guy? Referring to one of my salespeople. Ricky? He was a security guard at the hospital. No, yes. Well, where do you learn to do that? I taught him. Taught him my framework. Really? Yep, okay. Well, what about that guy? Oh, Jeremy? Yeah. Oh, he was installing pest control stuff, driving around spraying bug juice. Was selling? No. Well, how's he doing that? He's following my framework. And so on and so forth, until it dawned on me that I was not a particularly talented car dealer. I was just very good at training salespeople and inspiring confidence in them because I did it in a way that was very unorthodox and different than anything else that was done in the marketplace. So, what are you going to walk away with? Very simply, actionable things. Things that you can go back and deploy in your businesses. They will be very, very clear, and I will make them very, very clear to you, okay? But there are 2 themes that we're going to discuss today. And the last one there, how can I follow up if I want the QR codes? Ryan was kind enough to let me put those up there in case you guys want to follow up. Okay? The first thing that we're going to discuss, You guys see all this stuff up here? You see the coronavirus? No, you don't. That's because I'm not clicking the button. I'm over here in my own little world. There we go. You should have been looking at that, by the way, the whole time. You tell I'm new at this? All right, guys, so coronavirus, social media, Google reviews, AI, smartphones. Traditional selling is dead. That's why there's a toe tag on it, okay? This method of meet the customer, build rapport, how you doing, nice to meet you. Okay, great, yeah, so you're interested in our product, awesome. Well, let me tell you about our product. We have XYZ product, it's the best product in the marketplace. It does this, it does that. It has all these features, it has all these benefits, and competitively, we're priced below the competition, our ratings are better, everybody loves us, and you will too. Would you like the product? Well, yeah, seems like a good product, but I'd like to think about it. Raise your hand if you ever heard that one. I want to think about it. That should be everybody if you ever sold anything, okay? How about this one? I need to talk to my wife. Yeah? Wow, only 2 people? Who's heard I need to talk to my wife, my partner, my significant other? Come on. There we go, okay? Guys, these are not real objections. We know this. But traditional selling tells us to offer our offering and then wait until the end of the conversation to handle objections, okay? Tell me somewhere else where they do that, okay? Hi, doctor, how you doing? Good, wait, shh. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning. Well, don't you want to know what my symptoms are? No. Now just try the pills. Try the offering. And if you object to it, we'll discuss it at that point. There's literally nothing else in the world that's done this way, but selling has been done this way for umpteen million years. Ever since they put the first crank in the front of a Ford Model T, it was check out the product, take it for a test drive, build some rapport, and then close. Always be closing, right? Okay, wrong. Sales is done wrong. And I will explain that, make that very clear to you. Making sure we're on the same page here. Okay, you guys recognize this guy right here? There's a famous picture of him in an apartment, 1-bedroom apartment with a fold-out table. It says, who can tell me what it says on the wall? Amazon, yeah. This guy's worth a few bucks, huh? This is a quote from Jeff Bezos that I think is incredibly important, and I think you should write down, because this is like gospel. The only constant in life is change. Embrace it, adapt to it, and you will thrive, okay? Plain and simple. It's really not much more diverse than that. The world is changing. It will always be changing. The outfits that you wore 10 years ago are not the outfits that you wear today. The music that you listen to today is not what was popular even 5 years ago. The hairstyles, the hats, the jewelry. It was not once a thing. It is now a thing, and it is the accepted thing. If you don't fall in line, you're considered an outlier. Why? Because the marketplace and society changes. Thought that was kind of cute. Ask yourself, really think about this. Don't just look at a slide and a cute picture of Ryan when he was younger. He's going to kick my ass. Ask yourself, how valuable is a smartphone that won't take an update? Really think about that, okay? Hi, I'm an iPhone. Revolutionary product. I'm the first phone that you can use to FaceTime, to look at YouTube videos, to go on the internet, to facilitate similar activities that you do on your laptop or your home PC. I'm a smartphone. Great. I'm an innovator. I'm awesome. I'm the groundbreaker. Okay. Good. Now an update comes out. New software comes out. Carfax puts out a new program. Salesforce puts out a new program. HubSpot puts out a new update. Go High Level puts out a new update. Whatever CRMs you're using, whatever websites you're using, they update. But you're good. You're like, no, I'm good, man. I like doing it the way I do it. This is the way it's always been done. I'm good with this. What happens, guys? It's very simple. Most things in business are extremely commonsensical and logical when you break them down to their core parts. If you are resistant to change, you will not adapt, you will not innovate, you will not meet your potential. It's just not going to happen. What's going on? There we go. 75% of salespeople that say that selling is more difficult than it was in the previous year. This was a study done by Salesforce. Look at the gravity of that number. 75% of salespeople say that selling is more difficult than the previous year. Salesforce is not a small entity. Directly below that, 63% of business leaders say that their sales teams are not as effective as they have been in previous years. Okay? Now, we follow up with the last one from HubSpot. They're trying to summarize the previous quotes. Many business owners are struggling to connect the dots between technological advancements and the tangible improvement in sales outcomes, i.e., the technology is changing, AI is here, the CRMs are changing, the products are changing. We're having a hard time trying to figure out how to deploy the AI. We're having a hard time exactly how to make the software intertwine with what we do. We're just having a hard time connecting the dots between the products that are out now, the technologies that are out now, and tangible positive sales outcomes. Well, I wonder why. This is a visual representation of what business leaders are doing when they make that statement. They're missing the point. So what is the point? I'm going to give you a little history lesson. Who believes that the past is a good indicator of future outcomes? By show of hands. Yes, Ryan, me too. It's like biblical. Guys, I'm going to take you on a little journey. Please give me your 100% focus, because this information could fundamentally change your life and the way that you do business. Early 1900s, late 1800s. Who knows what laudanum ointment is? Anybody heard of laudanum ointment? Anybody seen the movie Wyatt Earp? Or Tombstone, Tombstone, okay? Where his wife keeps sticking her finger in the bottle and rubbing it inside her cheek. That was laudanum ointment, okay? I'm not a scientist. I wasn't a scientist back then, but my research tells me laudanum ointment is an opiate derivative, okay? Opium, a narcotic. On the bottle for laudanum ointment, it said cures all ailments, all. Cures all ailments, okay? You had dudes rubbing it on their bald head, okay? You had women rubbing it on their freaking legs, trying to get a little leg hair. You had people drinking it, trying to get rid of headaches and hangovers. You had people with polio trying to drink it and get better. Like, cures all ailments. And there was a lot of products like this, medicinal products. And at one point, the marketplace said, bullshit, it doesn't do this. You can't, and they pleaded with their legislators and said, you can't just say that something does something, because that is the precursor to us buying it and then discover that it doesn't do that thing. Where is the responsibility on the manufacturer? So, the Pure Food and Drug Act. Guys, you're seeing catalyst, correction, and capitalization. The catalyst is what happened. The correction is how it was fixed. The capitalization is how a business or an entrepreneur took a quantum leap in income or revenue by responding to it, innovating. Remember at the beginning of the talk, I talked about Danny and the clapping, and you didn't clap until he told you to clap, and when he said you didn't speak more, you stopped clapping. That's movement, that's innovating, that's taking information and saying, I don't need to wait for somebody else to do this thing. I'm going to do it because it makes logical common sense, okay? Pure Food and Drug Act, that combated this. They basically created legislation saying you can't do that. The product that you create and the advertisement for it, there needs to be continuity, okay? They need to be cohesive. So, you move into the 40s and the 50s, GE and Coca-Cola just made a ruthlessly authentic and honest brand presence. They just were very pure in their advertising. Coca-Cola, it's a good drink. Coke in a smile. GE, your energy company. They didn't do anything crazy. They weren't trying to set the world on fire. They wanted you to know we're here, we get the job done, we're here, we got your back if you need us, okay? 1960s and 70s, mass production, post-World War eras, products all over the place, factories all over the place, ads all over the place. You watch a movie from that time frame, you'll see the car driving down the road, and you'll see billboard, 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 billboard. Inside the 50s taxi cab, there's an advertisement on the back of each headrest. Anywhere that you went in the diner, on the back of the menu, there was advertisements. It was everywhere. Inundation of ad and marketing messages, okay? So what happened? People got sick of it. Who remembers Forrest Gump? Okay? Hippies. San Francisco, flowers in your hair, Volkswagen buses. Screw it, let's not shave our armpits. Let's push back on the man, okay? They wanted authenticity. They didn't want to be sold to. So what did they do? The innovators, who's ever heard of Patagonia? Patagonia was pioneered during this time. Patagonia was in response to this movement. These vests and sweaters and hoodies that you wear today that cost $200, $300 at Dick's, their original message was, you know what their colors are? Very hipster, very down to earth, very earthy, very authentic, okay? Sold at places like REI and the nature section of Dick's. They're like, dude, we got you. We're just normal people. We're down home brand, okay? Ben & Jerry's. Who knows Cherry Garcia? Chunky Monkey? There we go. There's my ice cream eaters. Guys, Ben & Jerry's is like, dude, we're a couple stoners making ice cream. That's all it is. We're a couple stoners making ice cream. You want some? It's good. For $10 a pint, right? But you bought it, didn't you? Because it's good ice cream. You would have never tried it if it just said chocolate, okay? That's the point. That's the capitalization. The dot-com boom. You guys remember this. Everybody in this room is old enough to remember this. Pets.com, cars.com, everything.com. What happened? They entered the marketplace. Their stocks went through the roof. They were crazy funded, like stupid capital from VCs. This is the birth of the California, the Silicon Valley, okay? That's where this came from. And then what happened? Overstated claims, aggressive marketing, way too much venture capital, and then blammo, it all tanked. Why? Aggressive, inauthentic, braggadocious embellishment marketing. Bullshit, okay? And what did consumers do? They created Web 2.0. The marketplace responded with Web 2.0, okay? Social media, peer-to-peer platforms like Airbnb, Vrbo, Uber. Govern yourself, marketplace. You guys take care of each other. We're just going to sit back and let it transpire on what they call Web 2.0. Who's familiar with Web 2.0? It's just the second birth of the internet, not just static pages, okay? Apps, functionality from peer-to-peer, et cetera, okay? And what was the capitalization? Companies started using platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and they found influencers. And they said, hey, people trust you. You guys have used our platform to bring yourselves a following, a tribe. We'd like you to then say you like our product. If you do that, we will pad your pocket in a very handsome way. And what happened? They got incredibly wealthy. Who's familiar with Jake Paul? Yeah, we saw him last night. He's got a few nickels to rub together, yeah? Okay? That's the response. Now, where are we at now? Okay? Monaco, how are we doing on time? Where'd Monaco go? 23 left? Perfect, thank you. Okay, poorly regulated social media marketing, hyperbolic claim selling. Does anybody see a theme here? Okay, every one of these red catalysts comes from bullshit. Over-marketing, inauthentic messaging, exaggeration, not being able to deliver on your promise, okay? What has every correction been? It's been somebody simply saying, you know what? Let's just be authentic. Let's just tell them how it is. Let's make sure that we look good. Let's make sure that we taste good. Let's make sure that we bring a decent product, but let's just tell them how it is. Because what happens when the whole TV screen is full of white noise, but then there's just one very crystal clear picture down in the corner? What are we going to do? We're going to gravitate towards the thing that we can see clearly and we can understand. That's how we respond as human beings. We want comfort. We want to believe that we can trust it. It's authentic. We know what we're getting, okay? We feel it. We feel it. Everybody say, we feel it. Say it louder. We feel it. Because you do, guys, and you may or may not know this. Who can tell me what either one of these two things are? What the item is or who the person is? Besides my kids, but I love that. It's a Faraday cage. And that's Michael Faraday. You know what the Faraday cage is? What is it? Yes. It is a box devoid of signals, frequencies, okay? You put something inside of there, nothing as far as a ray, a frequency, any sort of wave is going to act upon that. No outside radio or frequency or force or ray is going to disturb that, okay? Michael Faraday created this because he wanted to study things in their static states. He wanted to see if a thing had a charge or any sort of energy to it. So he would put them in his Faraday cage and he would take measurements, okay? Students at prestigious universities, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't want to misquote. Believe it was Harvard and Stanford, but you guys can look that up. They did studies by putting human beings in Faraday cages. And they measured them in heightened emotional states: anger, bitter, loss, passion, grieving, elation, whatever. And what they discovered was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Human beings had a wave signature that was unique to their emotional state. Okay? Now, these were not the signatures, but I'm going to give you an idea. Anger looked a certain way. Happiness looked a certain way. Okay? Grievance looked a certain way. They could literally put a human being in this Faraday cage, measure their state on scientific equipment, and see that, okay, well, those three guys look this way. How are they feeling? What did they report? Oh, angry. They were all angry. So they learned that people's frequencies could be measured. One of the really incredible parts of that is something called the law of constructive interference, which means that when two frequencies combine, they exponentially grow in power. So what that means as it relates to selling is that you and your customer, if you're speaking to them and they're resonating with you and you guys are aligned, you actually create a conversation that's much more valuable, okay? So the one most important and most compelling thing that they discovered is that there was one frequency, one state that had that was greater in volume than anything else. One frequency that was 4 times greater in volume than anything else. It was the frequency of authenticity. Authentic, honest discourse. Two people speaking back and forth where they were compelled to speak honestly, truthfully, and they were aligned in their thinking. This created conversations that were off the Richter scale as far as their measurements were concerned. Now, what's important about that? 70% of today's buyers say that if they feel that their salesperson is scripted or robotic or saying the same thing to them, the same cookie cutter message that they've said to everybody else, they will not be compelled to move away. They will not disengage a little bit. They won't just think, they will disengage entirely, like disconnected. Okay? Who in here makes cold calls? Okay? Who's ever got hung up on? Should be all hands if you make cold calls, okay? That's called disengaging entirely. When somebody feels as though you're being scripted and robotic, they will disengage entirely. Got a quote for you from a guy I know. And it is the crux of paid to persuade selling in the company that I own and the way that we train. And it is authenticity sells and confidence closes. Why is that important? Guys, in sales, you need to reverse the process. Something that we do and we train called compassionate interrogation. You don't just meet your customer, show them a product, build a little rapport, qualify them, ask them to buy, and then overcome objections, okay? You need to unearth their pain points. You need to find out what the objectionable components are before you actually try to close them. You need to move to what's called a non-objectionable close. And we train to get there every single time. How do we do it? We solve for the big 3. We have a framework. It's very simple. When you're engaging with a customer, okay? I'll stick with tangible assets right now. Who sells a thing? A car, a refrigerator, a paved driveway, a financial product, real estate, okay? Okay. Solve for the big 3. What brought you here today? What is your buying power? What did you hope to accomplish today? Very simple, okay? These are the only 3 things that are going to be objectionable components with your customer. It's just a fact. Other than the house has a broken chimney, the home inspector won't buy it. Other than a specific product objection, okay? The big 3. What brought us here today? What is our buying power? What did we hope to accomplish? Now, guys, when you're pitching in that old familiar way, your customers feel it, okay? You got to make it unfamiliar to them. It has to feel different. When you meet somebody new and you engage in conversation with them, when you guys are talking to each other today, you're going to be engaged. Why? Because it's stuff you never heard before. Okay? What Danny was talking about, that same old bullshit, hey, what's your socials? What are you into? How many followers you have? Let's take a selfie. You're not going to remember that person. You'll have a picture and you'll go, that was that guy. Somebody that actually talks to you, engages with you, gives you information that's compelling, that's going to stick because it's unfamiliar. It's information that you haven't come across before. It's a frequency that you're not used to. Okay? Consistent, simple framework. Consistent, simple framework. Who in here has a sales team? Okay? Who in here is a salesperson? Who in here doesn't sell at all, never has, never will? Okay. One person. Do you have a husband? You sell, trust me. Okay. All right. The big three. What brought you here? What is your buying power? What did you hope to accomplish? To be clear, these are not questions. Hi, Mr. Customer, what brought you here? Well, I need a car. Obviously, no. What is your buying power? Have you got credit? You can't say that. You have to solve for these things. Guys, I don't have enough time up here on stage to go down through the entire framework, okay? I'm giving you the bullet points and the actionables. Obviously, you want to learn more about it, you could do that. But this is the framework, okay? You got to solve for the big three. Flow selling. This is an acronym. Fundamental, logical, and obvious. You have to stick to your framework. You got to sell the same way every single time. What I mean is you have to solve for the same things every single time. When you engage with a customer, you have to unearth why they're here. What's the reason for engagement? What are they doing here? You got to find out what their buying power is. Who's ever gotten to the end of the presentation and somebody said, yeah, dude, I love it. I'm going to think about it. I don't have the money right now, but in a month or two when my settlement check comes in, I'm going to do this. Who's ever dealt with that? That's because you didn't establish buying power at the outset of the conversation, okay? Think about it. If they can't engage, don't you want to know in the first 5 minutes? Okay, we teach that, all right? ALR, who's heard of active listening? Okay, who's heard of active listening? Okay, there we go. Guys, active listening says, I hear you say something, I repeat it back to you to show you that I heard it, okay? Say, I like four-wheel drive trucks. Okay, so you like four-wheel drive trucks? Got it. Let's take a look at some four-wheel drive trucks. That's active listening, okay? Say it again. I like four-wheel drive trucks. Okay, so what I hear you saying is you need a truck. You prefer something that spins all four wheels instead of two. You're driving through some rough terrain, some snow. Yeah, makes sense. I'd probably need a four-wheel drive too. That's ALR, active listening response. Not just listening and saying, I heard you, I iterated upon it, it makes sense to me, here's my version I'm giving back to you, you tell me if I'm right or not. What does it do? Two things. It shows you that shows them that you're listening, and it shows them that you heard them, you understand. When you show somebody that you understand, they believe that you can help them. When they say, yeah, he gets me, he knows why I need it, he knows why I gotta have that thing, he then believes you can solve for it, okay? Salespeople, write this down. You have two jobs, especially tangible asset salespeople. You have two jobs. One is a telemarketer. Yep, I said it. The other is a closer. Stop trying to close the deal on the set call. Stop trying to work numbers over the phone before the customer comes into your store. Stop shooting yourself in the foot. I'll give you a specific example relevant to my car dealerships. Customer calls, or they make an outbound call. Yeah, I'm interested in such and such car. Yep, your ad says guaranteed credit approval. Can you guarantee me credit approval? Yes, I can. Well, how can you do that? You haven't seen my credit. Well, we give a bank that guarantees credit approval. There's a format to, well, I don't want to need $10,000 down. Okay, well, let's take a look. Let's see how much cash down you do need. Okay, looks like you're going to need about $4,500. Okay, all right, I'll get back to you, thanks. Click, they pick up the phone, they call the next guy to see if he says $3,500, okay? Don't do that. Mr. Customer, let me ask you a question. Do you want me to lie to you, or do you want me to be honest with you? Let's start there. Well, of course I want you to be honest with me. Okay, well, if I tell you exactly how much money down you need, I'd be lying to you. Why? We haven't selected a car. You're not here. I haven't seen your pay stub. I haven't seen your bank statement. I haven't verified that you're actually you, so it's not legal for me to give you financial data that's sensitive without knowing I'm in front of your face, sir. Would you want me sharing your sensitive financial data with just anybody? Well, of course I wouldn't. Okay, so you can call all over town. There's probably going to be people that will give you a number, and it's going to be a made-up number to get you to come through the door. You got to come through the door somewhere. I strongly encourage you to come through the door where we're going to give you honest, forthcoming information. Now, what can I tell you? Can we be the lowest in the market? Are we going to be the best? Let's just put it this way, sir. If I thought the cash down amount was going to be insurmountable, do you think I would waste my time having you come down here? Listen to the power of that statement. If I thought this wasn't going to happen, do you think I would waste my time and have you come down here? Well, no, probably not. Okay, sir, I'm not wasting my time today. You won't be wasting yours. What time do you want to come in? Okay? That is telemarketing. Thank you. That is telemarketing. That's closing on an appointment. Then, once you have captive audience, once you can actually sell to them, sit them down, then you have a chance at closing a deal. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Now, the big three. I told you, what brought you here today? What is your buying power? What did you hope to accomplish? What is your buying power? What did you hope to accomplish? Are a little bit to get into, okay? But I want to give you some actionable stuff to go home with. Solve for the triple threat, okay? When you've got a customer in front of you and you don't want an objectionable close, solve for the triple threat, which is time, money, and third party. Looks just like a Karen, doesn't it? Felt like that was a Karen. Guys, this is it, okay? Well, it costs too much, money. The payment's too high, money. I don't have the money yet, time, money. Well, I don't have enough time today, I'm on my lunch break, time. I gotta talk to my wife, third party. My financial advisor's gotta look at it before I engage, third party. My financial advisor's gotta look at it before I engage because we're not in the right season. We're probably could do this next quarter, and frankly, it seems like it's a little too much, time, money, and third party, okay? There is a way to solve for all of these things at the outset of the conversation. We teach it, okay? If this is the last time you ever see me, you ever hear from me, which I hope it's not, but if it is, write this down, take a picture of it, and keep it in the back of your head. When I'm in a selling conversation, I gotta solve for these things before I even show the product. Why would you show the product, give a 2-hour presentation, waste your time, unless you know they can pay for it, they can actually buy it, and they can do it today? For those of you that say, there's no way you could solve for those things at the outset of the conversation, I bet you $100,000 I can. If you want to take me up on that bet, let me know. I'm hoping this happens by now. I just wanted to throw in a cute meme. Let me ask you guys an honest question. Is what I'm saying stuff you've all heard before? Raise your hand if you've heard all this before, all of it. You have? Where? Okay, so in this exact framework. Okay. The 3 C's: content, confidence, and cadence, okay? Guys, Monaco, how are we doing on time? Is that me right there? Is that me right there, 8:35? Thank you. So, guys, paid to persuade, what I do. This is the gospel for me. This is the difference between what I do and what everybody else does. And I strongly encourage you to have it be the difference between what you do and what your competitors do, okay? If you're going to sell for a living, your sales training that you use or you deploy must be fundamentally sound. And if it's not solving for objections at the outset of the conversation, you are fighting an uphill battle. Why would you wait until the end to find out the things that are going to be your pain points? Why would you not flush them out at the beginning, work through them? That's the bulk of the sale. Who would agree with me by show of hands that the difficult part of selling is overcoming the objections? I know I would. Okay? That's pretty much everybody in the room. Because it's the truth. Because otherwise, you get to do what you enjoy, which is show your product, explain your product, let people know about your product, see what their needs are. That's the fun part. Building rapport is the fun part, okay? Closing is the fun part. What's the shit part? Overcoming the objections, okay? There are non-buyers out there. They exist. We get people that come into the car dealerships that are 17. They don't qualify for financing yet. Even with a cosigner and cash down, they're a non-buyer. There are people that call you. They're not familiar with your product offering, and they think you do something completely different, and they discover what it is. It's like, yeah, this isn't for me. Sorry, I thought this was something else. It happens all the time, guys. So if you have a non-buyer, flush it out immediately, and you do it by solving for the big 3, okay? Now, the 3 C's, content. Your sales training has to be fundamentally sound, and it has to solve for objections at the outset, okay? Confidence. Confidence is the most important thing in selling, okay? Who would agree, and if you don't, that's fine, but who would agree that the most effective salespeople, like this guy, who I know is a badass closer. I kind of like your hair, in case you can't tell. Guys, who would agree with me that the most effective salespeople that you have ever met in your life, the guys that go out there and they come back with the bill of sale and the credit card, and you're like, dude, how the Those people are the most confident closers. Who would agree with that statement? Okay? Who thinks they're the smartest people? Nobody, okay? Who thinks they're the most energetic? Nobody, okay? Oh, Max, thank you. Okay, so one more time with show of hands, who believes it is the most confident closer that is the best salesperson? Okay, that's just about everybody, all right? For those of you who didn't raise your hand, I want to hear from you after what you think it is, okay? Guys, confidence is the key. Without exception, I'll prove it to you in a moment, okay? Cadence. Who knows what cadence is, okay? When the drum line starts going, the cadence of the beat, okay? It's rhythm. As I use it, it's practice. It's consistency. It's doing the same thing. It's role playing. It's taking your training modules. It's avoiding the salesperson bell curve, one of the most evil things in trying to make money. You get trained, you get good, you get confident, you close deals, you get awesome, you get arrogant, you get cocky, you forget shit, you start to half-ass it and you crash. Right? Okay? I call it the salesperson's bell curve. All those chuckles tell me that you guys can agree with that. Okay? It's what happens, guys. I've done it. Several times in my career, okay? It was kind of like what I was known for when I was selling cars. Don't hire Luke Lunkenheimer. Well, you can hire him for like 3 months. He'll come in, he'll sell 60 cars for about 3 months, and then he'll go get high in the closet and disappear for 3 days, okay? That's just kind of what I was known for. That's changed a little bit, okay? Cadence, guys. Every sales training that's for sale out there, mic drop one-liners, Instagram reels. Hey, man, you need your wife. Well, isn't anything we're doing tomorrow we're doing today, dog? Where's your six-pack, right? Guys, that's like, it's great. It's entertaining. It's fun to watch, okay? They're making lots of money, but they're doing it by entertaining people. They're doing it by getting people to engage because they're sold on a bill of goods. They're not doing it by improving lives, okay? If you hire a sales trainer and that person does not require you to meet back with them or someone on their team on a semi-monthly minimum, optimally a weekly basis, there's no way that they're gonna help you reach your potential. It's friggin' possible. Why? The bell curve. Accountability. Salespeople are volatile people, okay? They get in, they get fired up, they get sidetracked. Great salespeople have ADD. Great salespeople have drug problems. Great salespeople have emotional issues. I check every goddamn box, okay? Most good salespeople do, all right? Because it requires a special kind of human being to be a strong salesperson, okay? You gotta lock them down. You gotta have somebody in their face. Dude, did you do your modules? Dude, did you role play? Dude, did you do the sections that we talked about? Dude, did you work on addressing buying power? You missed on the last one. You gotta be with them all the time. As far as I know, to this juncture, I have never seen another company that guarantees results. At actual, measurable, quantifiable, monetary results. We guarantee 20% increase in commissionable sales. Guarantee. It far cost justifies what we do. This is not a sales pitch. I'm telling you how we're able to offer that guarantee. Because if you train with Paid to Persuade, you are with me at least once a week, at least 3 times a month. I require it in order for you to get your money back guarantee. We have yet to have anybody exercise it. Why? Because they're all crushing it. Why? Because they have accountability. They have a cadence of practice. Imagine this, guys. Really stop and think of the logic here. NFL football team. 2 teams. One goes to training camp, learns the playbook, and they say, all right, dude, go play. And they go play in every game, and they try to make the Super Bowl. The other team goes to training camp and then shows up to practice every day for the rest of the season and plays in the games. We think those teams are both going to do the same? Obviously not. Why would we think our sales career is any different? Why would we think our salespeople will somehow magically do amazing without practice? Why would we think that people are going to remain accountable and walking a straight and narrow line? People who sell and manipulate for a living in a morally sound way. How would we just assume they're going to do exactly what they're supposed to do at all times? It's ludicrous. It defies the human condition, okay? Very, very simply. Cadence is the key. Now, here's your proof. You want to talk about content? Sales teams that use a consistent, structured sales framework see a 20% increase in win rates and a 15% improvement in revenue growth. These numbers, not too compelling, right? 15, 20%. They didn't say a good framework. They didn't say a cadence of practice. They didn't say a world-class sales training program. They said a framework. Anything. Could be Post-it notes on the whiteboard. Do this on Monday, do this on Tuesday. Any structured framework. See a minimum of a 20% increase in win rates. Starting to understand how I can guarantee 20%? I ain't even got to be good. I just got to be there. But I'm good. I'm real good. 93% of salespeople who are confident in their abilities report higher sales performance. That's a compelling statistic. That number's a big one. 93%. Guys, this is from HubSpot. This is not from me. 93% of people who have confidence in their abilities tell you they perform better. Content, confidence, and cadence. Sales teams that engage in ongoing role-playing and practice sessions see a 70% increase in their ability to convert leads into customers. That's from Forrester Research. It ain't from Bazooka Joe. Guys, this is quantifiable stuff. 70% is a big number. Who knows who Bear Bryant is? Good man, famous football coach. Really think about this. It's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. Everybody wants to win, okay? It's the will to prepare to win that matters, i.e., it's the will to do the work. It's being willing to actually take action. I'm sorry, Danny's wearing a rainbow. That caught me off guard. It's your ability to actually take action. Everybody wants to win. Everybody talks the talk. This is called walking the walk, okay? There's two things in this world that will make you better in sales without needing any outside resources, any special training, any special coaches. Experience and frequency. What we do differently at P2P, and what you should do differently as well, is group coaching. Why? Because the only way that you can exponentially increase the experience of your sales team is to give them the experience of other salespeople. Get 30 people on a call. Have them all talk about the objections that they dealt with this week. Guess what? Your salesperson walks away with 30 other objection experiences that they know how to overcome. Where else can you get that? That's why we do group coaching calls, to cover the cadence and to increase the frequency and the experience. This is the formula to success in sales, guys. I promise you, deploy these tactics. Your sales will change fundamentally forever. It will be a paradigm shift. Hold your people accountable, give them frequency and experience by group coaching. They will get better, monumentally better. This is just a reminder, guys. If you haven't written it down, if you haven't taken a picture, this is the difference. This is why our company is so effective. Content, confidence, and cadence. Here's a couple nuggets for you to leave with. These are two things that we say in Paid to Persuade that are pivotal to our success. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Sales is not comfortable. It's not comfortable to force somebody to buy. It's not comfortable to ask somebody to spend more money than they want to. It's not comfortable to ask somebody to spend money without their wife's know-how. It's not comfortable to push somebody to pull the trigger when they weren't planning on it. So your ass better be comfortable being uncomfortable. I do an exercise with salespeople where I stand there and I say, ask me to buy. They say, will you buy? And I just look at them. I stare into their eyes. It's awkward. But what I do is I put my head somewhere that I've been somewhere else in my life a long time ago. Think about a roller coaster, a Ferris wheel, my beautiful wife, my kids, whatever, a fast car. Put my mind somewhere else. Meanwhile, they're going crazy. They're like, this is so weird. When's he going to talk? How many times do you ever see your salesperson ask somebody to buy, then before they can answer, they start talking? Dude, shut up. You've talked yourself out of sales. Mr. Customer, you want to buy the thing? Well, you know, I don't think it's really a good decision. Well, Mr. Customer, let me explain to you, da-da-da-da. Rewind it. Well, Mr. Customer, you want to buy? Well, I don't think it's a good decision. Until you mentioned the part about the warranty, then it made sense to me. Let's do it. It's called the two-step. Shh. Quiet. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And finally, guys, understand that they don't understand. We all use industry-specific vernacular. I heard a car salesperson say to somebody one time, Mr. Customer, we can't get it bought. You're buried in your trade-in, man. Your score is like a 480. We're going to need to at least put double nickels in your trade-in. If I get it back to the box, we're going to call the bank. We're so far stretched it ain't going to happen. Plus, you're a Gumby. Anybody know what that means? He's like, I heard a couple car things. Double nickels, I know that one. It means you're buried, negative equity in your trade-in. When it goes back to the finance manager, we won't be able to get it approved with the bank because you have negative equity in your vehicle. It's $5,500 the wrong way, and you have bad credit, okay? You don't even realize it, how often you use industry-specific vernacular that your customer doesn't understand. What happens? They don't ask you. They feel ignorant. They're not going to speak up. It crushes their dopamine. They're not going to interrupt you. Yeah, I don't understand. I'm just ignorant. They're not going to do it, okay? Oversplain. Always optimize for oversplaining. When your customer says, no, I understand. You don't have to keep going into that. Raises dopamine, okay? When they have to say, yeah, I don't really understand that. Number one, they'll very rarely do it. They'll just say, I want to think about it. Understand that probably 3 out of 10 times you ever heard I want to think about it, it's because at some point you didn't explain something, they feel ignorant, they want to go home and research it and let you know later. And probably not do business with you because they don't want to admit they didn't know. There it is, guys. There's the QR code if you're interested, okay? There's an offer for Apex people only. It's a compelling offer. I don't want to push it. I'm not going to push a sales pitch. Very, very quick. Anybody have questions about anything I went over? Nothing? Nada? No one? Content? Yes, sir. Go ahead, Zach. The big three, what brought you here today? What is your buying power? And what did you hope to accomplish? Yes, sir. Anybody else? Good? Awesome, guys. Listen, I hope that information was compelling. I hope it helped you. Oh, we got another one. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. That means the world to me. Thank you. Give yourself a hand. Guys, give her a hand.
Absolutely, great job.
Thank you so much.
I just had a question about flow. I have fundamental electrical, but I missed the O.
Obvious.
Thank you.
Yep, no, it's a great question. Fundamental, just meaning if the way you speak to your customer follows fundamental framework, they'll feel familiar in conversation, okay? Logical, if what you say, they can connect the dots, okay? If you're making sure that they're with you the whole way and it stays logical and they're with you, that's the logical part. And obvious is call out something obvious. If the customer, I'll use a car example just because it's very familiar to me, okay? Or actually, let's do this. You're touring a house. People are like, oh my God, it's so beautiful, honey. It's got the tin roof. It's got the whirlpool. It's got the hardwoods. It's so beautiful. Oh my God. By the end of the tour, they're like, yep, okay, sure. Yeah, we'll let you know. Yeah, we'll follow up with you. Like, there's an obvious cue there. Something went wrong. Call it out. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Mr. Customer, you entered this house. Call it out. You entered this house. Dude, you was on cloud 9. You looked like you were ready to sign the check right now. You're walking out saying, yeah, we'll think about it. Mr. Customer, I know, we'll think about it, means something didn't sit right. And that's okay. I didn't build the house. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I got leather skin. I just like to be better for the next person, maybe fix what's wrong with the house. Just let me in. What is it? Call out the obvious stuff. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's a great question. Yes, ma'am.
What are your thoughts on having something tangible for them to follow along with as you're selling whatever product it may be, as if they're reading specs or details of
Yeah, so it depends on the product that you're selling, okay? Data is great. Like, there's a company, who knows who Brad Lee is? Okay, I train Brad Lee's salespeople at Lightspeed Virtual Training, and they have a deck that they go through. It's like a sales pitch deck, and yeah, it's a great tool, okay? Because number one, it keeps them in a framework, and it's a very complex system, and that's a very big understand that they don't understand thing. There's a lot of nuance to that product that most people just don't know. When you have a product that's going to be unfamiliar to the marketplace, that it's not like you're selling a skateboard or a refrigerator. If you're selling something that there has a lot of nuance and technical nuance to it, absolutely visual aids are very, very helpful, 100%. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Yep. So I would encourage you to change your thinking a bit, that they're very much the same. A service is a product, okay? As much as a product is a service. The product that you buy facilitates the service that you want that product to facilitate, okay? You need cold beer, you buy the refrigerator to facilitate the service of cold beer, okay? You need your windows cleaned, your tangible windows, your product needs to be cleaned, you have somebody come in and do the service. You're talking about financial, what particular industry? Well, damn, you think I was a damn freaking psychic on that one. But the product is the window. The service is cleaning the window. So it's really the same thing. What brought you here today? Mr. Customer, lots of people want their windows cleaned. But at 12:47 today, you asked me to step off your porch and actually give you a quote on your windows. Why is that? Well, dude, they're filthy. Okay, so I hear you saying your windows are filthy. That's why we clean windows. But why today and not last week? Well, because next week, we're getting a check from our home equity loan, so we're going to be looking to do some, oh, look what we just solved for, buying power, right? That's the compassionate interrogation process. So what I would encourage you to consider is the reason we're so effective at P2P is because of the group coaching. You go through the online platform, and then that question would be in the Closers Club. You say, hey, Luke, I do window washing. It's a service. How would I relate these two? Bang, bang, bang. We'll flush it out. We'll role play it. We'll solve it. And then anybody else who's in a like industry will get that value as well. So that's a great question. Thank you for that. Let's give him a hand. That was a good question. Anybody else? Yes, sir. They're going to yell at me. Go ahead. Get rid of it. Yeah, brother, and I'm going to draw a lot of from the room when I say this, okay? What are scripts good for? Brand new people. Scripts are good for brand new people. That whole thing about Michael Faraday and the frequency of authenticity, that's about remaining authentic, okay? If you're reading off a script, that's that whole unfamiliar thing. 73% of customers, I believe it was, 73 or 76 will disengage. Meaning, if you're reading off a script, you don't even realize it. But no matter how good you are, your vocal cadence changes. Because here's what's your first name? Myron? Byron. Okay. So here's what happens, Byron. When you're talking to the customer, it's like you, me. Hey, Byron, yeah, dude. I appreciate you calling. Let me get you some information here. What is it that you do? We do our small talk back and forth. Okay, so awesome. Byron, did you know that Premier Windows is the #1 resource for buying windows in the United States? And you go into a script, your vocal cadence changes. I don't care how good you are, it happens, okay? When you're scripted, it happens. So, is it ineffective? No. No traditional selling is ineffective, or it wouldn't have been done that way for 100 years, okay? What we do is we turn all the dials. We optimize, we create potential, we maximize. So, scripts are helpful. You want to get elite level, burn that son of a bitch, okay? Does that help? Okay. Anybody else before they kick me out? Awesome. Guys, thank you very much. I love your energy. I really appreciate you.